Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at an online resource. If you saw my introduction or my previous video, in November, we're looking at the history of Native Americans, mostly in the United States because that's where I'm located. But I'm going to be taking information from the Smithsonian Institute's Museum of the American Indian. So my previous video, I covered their online exhibitions. In this video, we're going to look at women. Now, as opposed to my previous video, I'm not going to go over everything because this isn't exhibitions. This is a collection of articles and videos and blog posts and whole video collections. So I'm just going to kind of do a brief overview of what this section of online resources can provide. So it's specifically talking about Native American women. Just from my previous looking at the last video in the last area, it's most likely going to be covering all of North America and possibly parts of South America. So that's what this museum encompasses. So again, I'm going to be covering just a brief sprinkling of some of the information here. And similar to my previous video, this is going to be done by a screenshot. So you're going to be looking at my computer screen. I'm going to cut out of here and then basically show you what this is and click on some of the stuff and give a brief evaluation of these types of resources. And again, I will be linking in the description below a link to this specific area of the Smithsonian's Museum of the American Indians section. So this is again focusing on the Native American women and is a collection of different resources. So let's get started.
Okay, so here we are. This is the National Museum of the American Indian. That's part of the Smithsonian Institute. This specific area is on Native American women. So here we are. I was up here at the exhibition, so this is where we're covering. Again, as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm going to be looking at a sprinkling of this. So this is a wide variety. So I'll read off what they have here. I'll click on a couple of them. So you have an article on the lasting statement and exhibition showcasing the range and enduring impacts of Native American women's art. We have How Do American Indians Celebrate Mother's Day? A symposium on safety for our sisters, ending violence against Native women. Another video honoring Queen Liliuokalani, and yes, I am pronouncing that correctly. I grew up in Hawaii, so yes, this is a video honoring the Queen Liliuokalani. She was the final queen of the Hawaiian Islands, which strangely enough is my home state. So as I said, yes, I am in fact pronouncing it correctly because I grew up hearing it. So this is another blog. This is a Chief Warrant Officer to Misty Dawn Lakota. So this is, I'm guessing, some sort of ceremony for them. So this is a blog article. You have another article honoring women as strong as Bison Horn. So I'm guessing that's a history of, Lakota jewelry artist. So then you have a blog on, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, apparently it's Women Power, New Art by Kevin and Valerie. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that last name. So this is again in a blog post on art, on Native American art. This is this other one here. You have a symposium, A Promise Kept, Inspiring Life and Works of Susan Schoen, and I'm not going to pronounce that last name, or I'm going to try here, Harjo. I'm sorry about butchering that. Then we have a video, Language Breathes Life, Women Directors Roundtable. So they put that here. And then you have another video playlist, Symposium, Strong Women, Strong Nations, Native American Women and Leadership. Another article, A Promise Kept. So this is about a similar woman in the last symposium. Women's History Month matters at the National Museum of the American Indian. So this is another blog post. Then we have a video, Native Chilean Women Challenges and Opportunities. So this is a bilingual. Then you have an article here, A Place for the Taken, the Red Dress Project gives voices to missing Indigenous women. This is another red dress project on the National Mall, draws attention to life and death situations in Indian country. Then we have this is an article, Mary Golda Ross, she reached for the stars. So this looks like a possibly, first Native American aerospace engineer. And then we have a video playlist on something I can't pronounce. This looks like native dancing. And then we have, this is a blog on Fulfilling Her Promise, Museums Honor Native Rights Advocate Susan Harjo. So more on this woman. Then you have the continuing saga of Louise, I can't pronounce that name, the career and inspirations of award-winning writer, various books. So this is American Indian Magazine. This is another article over here, a talk with, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that person's name, who looks like a article at someone who, an artist, native artist. And then we have another video of Symposium K Walking Stick Seizes the Sky, Redefining American Art. Another one, a lot of traditional clothing we had to fight to keep. So fashion designer Norma Baker, Flying Horse. So Native American fashion. Then another article, Remembering the Vanished. The crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada and the Sisters in the Spirit campaign. Then we have another video, Red, Black, and Brown, Artists and the Aesthetics of Race. Then we have an article on A World Made by Women. So this looks like Native American art. A blog post on To the Indigenous Western World Arts. This is another art video, or art blog. So then we have another one, Margaret Bagshaw, Their Generations Pushing Boundaries. So that's a video. We have another article here. So every time I bring my mouse over here, it fades out so you can't see the photograph. They also served American Indian women in the War of 1812. You also have Inuit women's survival skills, which kept Arctic explorers alive, help heal residential school survivors. So this is another one talking about the reservation, the residential school survivors. Pocahontas, first marriage, the Powhatan side of the story. So this is interesting, an article, because in the previous exhibitions, there was something on Pocahontas. So this is another bit of information on that. This is another blog. Never underestimate the power of your mind, artists. So this is an artist blog. Here's another video, Native American women, activists, resistance, resilience, and the passing of the torch. So this is another, this looks like, this is an article. So this is about the, Louise, I can't pronounce her last name, Coble, a small measure of justice. So she holds the federal government accountable for mismanagement of billions of Indian trust funds. So that's interesting. Just Doing What I Could, Wilhelmina Man Killer Changed Native America. That's a blog. The Power of Protest Songs. So this looks at an article. That's an article on a Native American singer, I'm assuming. And then here's another article, Complexity of Ecstasy, the life and sainthood of Saint, I'm so not trying to pronounce that. So the Lily of the Mohawks. So that's the quit there. And the impact of people of Flint. So I'm guessing this is in Michigan. And then we have the last three here, Writings of Catholic Practice with Intention Toward the Audience. So Autumn White, Eyes on Poetry. Making 400th anniversary of marking the 400th anniversary of Pocahontas' death. Sorry. And another, that's a blog. So this is another article on the Western Front, 2 Iroquois nurses in World War I. So there's a lot of information here. I'll click on maybe at least one of these things. I'm not going to click on any of the videos. So you can click on this. I'm just going to do a right click here and move on here. There's a lot of information here. So you have a lot of these are articles about different artistic women in the Native American. It talks about their history and their art. And I'm just kind of scrolling through here where they come from and what their art means. So this is an entire article that you can read through. Let's scroll down. This is another article, so we'll look at this briefly. And this looks very, very interesting. So this is the Virginia institutions preparing to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Pocahontas's and her married name to her white husband this year. So this is her marriage. This is in 1614. Pocahontas, daughter of the chief Powhatan, was baptized in Christianity and married planter John Rolfe, who actually made the plantation very, very wealthy. I believe she ended up dying of disease, because of course she did. So, and it's a big article about that, so it's very interesting. And let's see. And then you have, let's look at one of these blog posts. See if we can find, let's see. So this is a blog. We're going to go over here. So this is through Smithsonian Magazine. So it's, so this is talking about this woman who was swearing in as the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma. So this is kind of interesting. So it's kind of a blog post from this, looks like Smithsonian Magazine, about her. So that is what this is. I mean, there's a lot of information here. Blog posts, articles, various different videos on symposiums and art, and basically the lives of Native American women, both past and present. And this is, here, let's do a quick look at the article of the red dress, which strangely enough I am not familiar with. There's another similar project that's South America. I believe it's black. I was an anthropology minor. I covered some of this stuff. Mostly my professors focused on the murders in Juarez, Mexico. And it's been a while. That was undergrad. So, but this talks about an exhibition. I know there was an exhibition similar to this at my during my undergrad program at my college campus. So this talks about what this is, and essentially they're honoring the disappearances and murders of Native women, both on their reservations and possibly outside. So this is the Canadian. Basically, they're being murdered, so they're going missing. So that's what this is. There's a couple different articles on that. So this is very, very interesting. There's a lot of information to digest here. Blog articles, videos. I'm going to click on one of the other blogs. I think this is, yeah. This looks like all of these blog articles are through Smithsonian Magazine. So this is talking about Mother's Day. So that seems to be what these are. So this is an amazing resource. If you're Native American, obviously you would know your own history, or if you're just interested and you're teaching your kids, you're looking outside your tribe, looking at different histories, looking at the art. This is a great resource for anyone. If you're looking, because it talks about both modern and historical figures and various different events, and you get some of the recordings of some of these symposiums that you might not have access to about different Native American women and events. And again, it's a fantastic resource. There's tons of stuff here, articles, playlists, different things of indigenous people, because that looks like, because obviously the Native Hawaiians they're obviously not Native Americans, they're Native Hawaiians. They are of an island nation. This one particularly interests me because I grew up in Hawaii and around those people, and why white. Hawaii was very much my childhood home, and I very much respect those people and wish the U.S. government had done things better, rather than, imprisoning the Queen at Cannon Point. Technically, the U.S. government didn't actually do that. It was a bunch of arrogant white men. Mainly, it was merchants and plantation owners, because, they wanted the U.S. to control it. And I believe I read something, they kept it as a territory as long as possible. So again, they could have complete control. But again, the U.S. government handled this very, very badly, and they treated these people very, very, very badly. And I grew up with that. I grew up understanding that very, very sad history. So this is an amazing resource. I will link it in the description below. So I will go back to my unusual little blonde haired, blue eyed little face. After this, the next video I will be looking at food, and then I will be going down here and covering Thanksgiving. So that is that for this, and I will see you in a moment. So that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed kind of a sprinkling of the look at the variety of resources the Museum of the American Indian, connected to the Smithsonian in DC, has on Native American women. So this is as you saw, this is a sprinkling of information. There's a lot here that I cannot cover because, again, it's articles and blog posts and a bunch of other stuff. I will link it in the description below. I hope you guys have a look. It's a fantastic resource. Thank you.